The starship rattled as the two of them descended, snowflakes flying past the window. The human sat comfortably in his seat, the reptile next to him not so much. Inside the ship was sitting at a cozy 68 degrees. Light crested the horizon as the sun began to set. "Felix, I really appreciate you bringing me here, but why is it so white out there?" Quetzal asked, while leaning forward to get a better view. "We call it snow. Snow forms when little ice crystals and clouds stick together." Felix glanced over at Quetzal before sticking his eyes to the windshield again. "I forget you come from a more arid world where snow really can't just form." "That's what the white stuff was on the poles of Earth. I suppose that explains why it's below freezing outside." She tugged at her scarf. "Is that why you had me wearing all this?" "Sure is. It's why I got you a puffy little coat with a heater in it. I know you can't handle cold temperatures very well. There's a button on the right side you can press." Quetzal looked quizzically down at the coat. Sure enough, there was a button on the right side. Felix continued his rant. "If you're cold, you can press that. Should warm right up. You're really going to need it once we have to get out. It's colder than hell out there." She heard the word hell being passed around before. Being curious, she looked through the galactic web for the term. Apparently it means a religious place of eternal damnation that's on fire, constantly. Just another quirk of human speech, she thought. She was, however, still intrigued by this coat with a heater. Reaching down and pressing the button, the coat slowly became warmer. This was much closer to our homeworld's temperature. The cabin was a bit chilly for her tastes. The ground shook beneath the two of them, surprising Quetzal. Felix clapped both his hands together. "All right, we're here. I hope you don't mind the walk to the little cabin I bought." She hopped out of her seat, trying to follow Felix with his longer strides. He held his hand over the button to drop the ramp. "The second I open this ramp, we're both going to be hit with some really cold wind. Just thought I'd warn you." Glancing at Felix, Quetzal made the decision to hide behind him. She made the right call. A massive gust of freezing wind blew through the cargo bay. Thankfully, Felix took the brunt of it. He really wasn't joking about the cold, though. The coat ramped up the heat, but the cold still bit at her skin. Felix walked confidently down the ramp, Quetzal doing her best to shadow him. He dropped down into the snow first and immediately sunk a good 2 feet. She could almost see the surprise hit his face. Trying to play it cool, he turned to her. "A little bit more than I was expecting. Not to worry though, it shouldn't be too much of a problem to walk through." That's when he saw her notably smaller legs. "Ah, maybe not the case for you. Sorry," he added sheepishly. Quetzal weighed her options. Either trudge through snow that was almost up to her waist, or get some help from the giant in front of her. Not really a hard choice. "Felix, can I maybe get some assistance? I'm afraid that might be a bit too deep." His face looked like he missed the most obvious joke in the world and finally got it. "Oh, yes, of course. Sorry for not offering." Moving quickly to her, he paused, sizing Quetzal up for a moment. "Is it alright if I just give you a piggyback ride? I don't know if you like being held." "Piggyback? Another product of a human language. Sure. If you think that is best," she finally spoke. Turning around, he bent over slightly, holding his hands near his sides. "Of course you don't know what I meant," Felix realized, after already getting ready. "Apologies. A piggyback ride is when you ride on someone's back with your hands on their shoulders, and your legs are held by the person." "I still don't know what a piggy has to do with this," she sighed, and did as she was told. The view from Felix's shoulders was much larger than she was used to. Even so, the entire area was either snow or trees. A mountain stood tall in the distance. Snowflakes fell gently to the ground at a steady pace. She could really enjoy this without having to worry about the cold. Alright, now we can move on. My cabin isn't far from here. Should only be a minute walk. I couldn't really see where I was landing thanks to all that snow. Felix pulled out his keys and pressed a button. The ramp on his starship started to close. As the snow crunched under Felix, she got a good look at the cabin. It was decently sized. The thing was almost entirely made out of fallen trees. One thing she noted as odd was the bright lights that were strung up around the building. Red, green, blue. So many colours glowed against the setting sun. I have a question. Why is there so many lights hung up around your cabin? Why all of the different colours? He turned his head slightly, even though he couldn't look at her. That's a secret I'll tell you once we get inside. Better for conversation anyway. She heard something about Felix getting off of work because of a holiday. Much like the traditions of her own world, they both take days off to celebrate. The lights were pleasant to look at. The heavy boots Felix wore clunked against the wood of the porch. They arrived. We're here. I'll set you down now. She hit the floor with a noticeably quieter sound. The door had some sort of circular plant hanging on the front. Probably something to do with this mysterious holiday of his. She was hit by the smell of cinnamon as the door opened. Craning her head around Felix, she saw an abundance of multicolored decorations, just like the lights outside. A fireplace was burning at the far end of the room. It was much warmer in here. Felix pointed to a couch. Sit right over there. I'll be making us some wonderful hot chocolate. He hummed the whole way over to the kitchen. Walking over, she noticed a small globe on a small table. A heavy-set human stood inside looking happy as can be in a bright red outfit. Humans really are odd, she thought, as she hopped up on the brown couch. A tree she noticed earlier was hung with a dazzling array of lights and differently shaped ornaments. There was a shining star at the top. Felix could be heard with his loud boots before he rounded the couch. In his hands were 2 steaming green mugs. Setting one down in front of her on the glass table, he sank lazily back into the couch. That's what we call hot chocolate. It's just milk and powdered chocolate heated together. I checked and you're safe to drink it. Gingerly grabbing the mug, she held it up to her snout to taste it. It was sweet, but good. So, do you finally want to talk about this holiday of yours? You got work off from it, so you humans must hold it in pretty high regard, yes? She motioned to the decorations strewn about. Yes, we do. It's a long-standing tradition. To simplify it a little bit, it's a holiday where humans who choose to participate give gifts and decorate their house, like I have done here. The significance of it comes from religion, but we always celebrate on December 25th. Wait a minute. I studied the human calendar. Felix, I hate to tell you this, but isn't it only October? Quetzal looked over questioningly at him. You told our boss that you needed time off for some important human holiday. The only reason I even got off is because you told him it requires a friend to celebrate properly. He looked at me with the most shit-eating grin I have ever seen a human produce, and uttered 2 words. I know.